We're going to tie a deceiver pattern. We're going to try to do olive over white, throw in some flashabou, and then use Peacock Herl for the back, and maybe some synthetic hair for a lateral line. For the tail section, I'm going to use the longest strands of bucktail, but the sparsest clump. And then I'm not going to start tying all the way at the end of the shank of the hook. That's just my preference. I tied in 2 strands of flashabou. Here's a sparse clump of white. I measured it slightly shorter than the tail. I tied it in on top, and I'm going to work it down so it's at the bottom of the hook. I'm just using 2 loose securing wraps, and then I'll work the bucktail down and add a bunch of olive bucktail on top. I added 2 more strands of flashabou. You can start to see the color differentiation with the olive and the white. I repeated the steps, olive over white, but instead of flashabou, I added some synthetic hair on the sides. That'll be our lateral line. So far, it's been 3 sections of bucktail. Now it's time to start thinking about the head. I'm gonna add a fairly liberal bunch of peacock. I ran the peacock over the edge of my scissors ever so slightly, not the sharp edge, but the outside frame, metal frame, and we want it to have a little curl. One last tie-in of olive over white. I'm going to finish the head with a dubbing blend. I just took a clump of dubbing and then tied it in. I didn't create a rope or a brush, and then I'll pick that out. The end is looking a little scraggly, so you gotta clean that up. We're gonna add some eyes. We're gonna use super glue to secure the eye, so before we do that, we're gonna want to just make sure everything is lying flat, and the super glue will kind of act like a hair gel to bind everything and start the shape. I had a couple of drops of super glue, and then I gently placed the eye on top and start securing it down. I don't smush it down. The super glue almost always has a kind of reaction with the synthetic and the dubbing. Sometimes it even starts to smoke. But if you time it well and place the eye at the right time, it'll secure it nicely while still keeping the volume of the head. You can see the longest fibers in this are a few pieces of the synthetic hair, a few pieces of the flash, and then we have the bucktail and the peacock herl, and the rest of the fly. The point being, taper is extremely important when you're tying streamers. It's hard to incorporate peacock herl into the streamer and have it look good. It took me a couple tries, but curling it with the scissors is definitely the way to go. And then when you're tying with bucktail, the fly doesn't need to be just one solid color, all white, all olive. You can incorporate different shades and color patterns, and I find it far more pleasant to fish with when I know that there's a little differentiation, maybe more natural looking as well. Bucktail Deceiver, definitely, if you're a streamer fisherman, warm water fisherman, saltwater fisherman, you're gonna have to tie up this pattern.